Welcome back to another installment of Meet the Artist inside of the Tucson Gallery here at the Proper Shops in downtown Tucson. We're located at 300 East Congress. We're right across the street from the very venerable Hotel Congress and just a couple of doors down from the sister Rialto Theater. Come join us every week. We've got a different artist talking about their history, their art, and just answering questions and having fun. Grab a glass of wine, cup of coffee, and enjoy. And then, of course, we record these podcasts at the beginning before it gets a little too rowdy. And you can listen to all of this and check out our live event schedule on our website, which is the TucsonGallery.com. And today we are joined by the extremely famous and legendary, I use that word not lightly, Leslie Leathers. Welcome.
Thank you, Tom.
So as of today, as of the recording, you are currently on the cover. Well, your work is on the cover of Tucson Lifestyle magazine. Is that pretty cool?
It's pretty cool.
Is this like
pretty exciting?
Is this your first magazine cover, or is like, nah, it's old hat?
I've had a back cover, but this is my first front cover.
Okay.
And local, like the other one was from back east or something.
Oh, so you're not just famous in Tucson; you're famous all over the United States.
Yeah.
Are you from Tucson?
No.
How did you end up here?
I grew up in New York, and I lived in this city till I was about 13. And then I moved upstate where I lived till I was about almost 19. And then I moved to Tucson because I had family here and my friends were going to ASU and I wanted to be out here in the nice sunny weather. So that's how I got here.
So sunny. So Arizona's sunnier than New York is what I'm understanding?
Yep.
Okay. But there's all kinds of like art in New York, isn't you? Don't you miss that a little bit?
I miss it, but I don't miss the cold.
It's a good trade-off.
Yeah. I love Tucson. I love the mountains. I love everything about it.
So when you were in New York, were you a photographer then?
I did a lot of photography. I started in more like high school because, my first person that I dated when I was in high school, he was a photographer, and we did a lot of photography together, and I took photography in high school, and it was film, so it was cool because we got to develop our own film, and it was just, I loved that. And then once I had kids and everything, I kind of had to stop whatever I was doing and raise them, and then
those kids, they always, like
they did it to me.
I understand, like they have to eat every day and everything else. Mm-hmm. So you got to take care of them. And
it was tough.
Mom puts the camera away for a while.
Yeah, I put it away, and then when I picked it back up, I got wholeheartedly back into it, and I always loved animals, and so it was easy. It was easy.
The nature of your photography then is it all wildlife? Because that's all that I've seen.
Yeah, pretty much. I did some weddings at the beginning to start, and it was easy to get my equipment because for weddings I did, it was pretty good money.
Yeah.
And then, but then I realized it was not me. So I started hiking a lot, and I went out into like the desert a lot. And when my mom wasn't feeling good, it was really good for me, therapeutic, and it was like my salvation. And I just got addicted to it. And I started out with hummingbirds, mm-hmm. and I had a friend that had nests at her house. And so that got me started. And then the rest it just kept rolling. And
well, you do all kinds of different wildlife that's out there. But the cover of Tucson Lifestyle is talking about your feathered collection and the birding here in Arizona. So putting some of your art into our website, I learned a lot about birds.
Yes.
Were you a birder before a photographer, or did being a photographer make you a birder?
Photography made me a birder because I loved birds, but I didn't love birds the way I love birds now. It definitely opened up a whole new world for me. And my backyard is like a bird haven. Mm-hmm. And so I can say I'm a bird lover, but I love all animals, even little teeny insects and anything that has eyes and moves, I'll shoot. So.
And you go hunting. It's not like you just sort of happen upon a bird, you're like, oh, I'm going to go to Madera Canyon because this particular bird has been spotted.
Right. Like the elegant trogon on the cover. That's one of the top sought after birds in the country, and even sometimes the world, because people come from all over to see that bird. A lot of people will go down there and they never see it, but I've seen it many times, and you learn the calls for the birds, and you can hear them, and then you can track them it's like a hunt, but you're not shooting them with a gun.
You're shooting them with a camera.
You're shooting them with a camera.
And the detail of your photos is just intense. Like in the gallery, we've got some of your pieces, and people think it's a painting. They can't imagine that you could get that close to a creature like that. Are you that close, or is it the equipment that's getting you in there?
I have pretty good zoom lenses. The equipment is nice. I can also crop in. It's a good camera, so it's professional, and I kept upgrading too as I went, and so
equipment's a little bit nicer now than when you were doing weddings.
Yeah. and it's cool because like a lot of photographers, as they sell, they can upgrade their equipment. And so I had a really good year last year, and the year before, I think I sold a lot of images to Hacienda as well, and so that was really good. And
so your artwork is hanging throughout Hacienda?
Yeah, the resort.
And so they have about like 85 pieces or something for me, didn't they?
Yeah.
That hopefully will pay for a few camera lenses.
That was very helpful for my current camera.
Well, in addition to birds, I've seen coyotes and horses. Do you ever get yourself in a situation that's sort of like, oh, this could be dangerous?
Mm-hmm. I did.
What happened?
I actually got hurt. It's probably about 7 or 8 years ago. I was going out to this lake it's on the east side of town, and I was shooting these geese because, they were there. Somebody probably just dropped them off. And one day I was out there, and they trapped 4 of them and left 1. And I felt bad. So I would go to this lake, and I named it Lonely, so I'd go out and see it. I'd walk around the lake. Well, one day I went, and I wasn't really too familiar with how geese function. And I was walking around the lake, and this Lonely was following me. And all of a sudden, and I wasn't wearing really proper shoes to be hiking around a lake. There were no tread. And I had borrowed a family member's lens, so I was being really careful. All of a sudden, I see this goose. He turns around, and he gets out of the water, and all of a sudden, he starts flapping his wings at me and squawking and coming towards me. And I saw his teeth, which are not teeth, but they're like teeth, and they were scary. And I thought he was going to attack my throat. So I pivoted, and when I pivoted, I started to run, and I fell flat on my face. And I fractured this bone here, and I fractured this on this side, I think.
Oh my gosh.
It was bad. And so I was alone, and there was nobody around. So I called, Paul was working, so I called a very close cousin of mine, and I said, you have to meet me because I can't see. And he met me in the Safeway parking lot and took me right to the urgent care because he said, you are messed up.
So once you hit to the ground, Lonely left you alone?
Yes. All of a sudden, I turned around, and I took off my jacket and put it over my eye because I was bleeding, and all of a sudden I turn around, and he's going back in the water, I imitate birds sometimes. So.
I could tell. Maybe he was just like, I'm ready for my close-up and smiling and trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
I think he was a bully.
Yeah.
And it worked.
I can see that. And one of I think the very first work you had in the gallery was the coyote condo.
Right.
And that one is interesting because you were stalking, so to speak, this coyote family for a while.
Yeah.
But they were watching back too.
There were 13 pups, and I actually originally saw it on the news, and so I went down there, and it was on the golf course.
At Randolph Golf Course, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And so I went, and saw where they were, and then went back the next night and just talked to some of the groundskeepers. They said, they saw me with my camera, and they're like, go ahead, you're fine, just be careful. And so I went the second time, and I was alone, and I think it was the dad, because the mom was up on a hill with a couple of the pups, and the dad kind of growled at me, and I got a little nervous, so I just kind of backed up and left. So then the next night I went back with a friend of mine, her son, big guy, and I felt like I was tough.
You had bodyguard.
So it was really cool, and I knew that they would come out. They lived in the drain holes, and I knew they would come out when the sun was starting to set. So I laid down on my belly, and I just kind of laid there and waited. And as the sun went down, they started coming out, and that's how I got that picture. I took a lot of pictures that day, but that was a cool photo. I'll never get that. I got something like it, but not like that.
Yeah, and that's something we have that you can check it out on our website, the TucsonGallery.com. You can see a version of the photo. It's been cropped a little bit, so the one we have in the gallery is a little bit more full. Mm-hmm. However, the one online I think is really good as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing that you have 6 of the pups just sitting there in these drain holes staring at you. And you aptly named it the Coyote Condo. So so beautiful. So you're out there putting your life at risk to bring these photos to us. This must be a passion of yours. Then you must
putting them and then just going through, because in the digital world you can take a zillion pictures, and I've tried, and I kind of succeeded to not take a lot of pictures. I try to get the one I want within 3 to 5 shots. Because otherwise you could just snap all day and have tons of photos, and then you have to do the horrible work where you have to delete, which is a photographer's nightmare.
Yeah, and it's just so much storage too that you would need for.
Yeah, well, I've upped my computer, several times since I started this.
So someone that is a wildlife photographer, someone that has this sort of inkling that they're a wildlife photographer, but they're doing weddings, or they're not even maybe into photography professionally yet. What's kind of that bridge? How can they get to where they want to be? What are some of the things that you would advise them?
Well, learn your camera, which I did. At the beginning, I was self-teaching, and then I actually took a couple classes with a local guy that I know that has helped me a lot. And then after that, the more I went out, the more I learned, and the more I was able to navigate around my camera. And I mean, it's time, it's just putting time in.
Do you find yourself looking for things that people will want to see, or do you sort of photograph what you want and hope people want to see it?
I think it's what I want. And I try, if I like it, it's more important that, I'm doing what I like and I love, and I don't do it for others, really. I kind of do it because I get such a joy out of it. So it's really for me. And then when people like it, it's just a validation of, wow. It's like sometimes it's like, you really like that, like it's hard to imagine, but it's cool, and things keep happening.
Like covers of magazines and such.
And I don't know why. I mean,
I guess someone likes it.
Yeah. So that was cool, and I guess I feel kind of lucky that I've had that experience, and just like different things through the years, I've been kind of lucky. And
is it seasonal? Because like right now, I'm if you're watching the video feed of this, I'm like trying not to sneeze because these allergies are killing me. But do you have different focuses? Do you do things in the winter, or are you always spring? Like when are you out shooting?
Pretty much almost year round. Even in the summer when it's super hot, I'll try to find something because it's hard for me to not do that. But right now it's migration time. Birds are migrating, and so it's a great time to be out.
So we're recording. It's in April, so spring is a really good time, I assume, then for birding.
Oh yeah, it's excellent, and winter's fun too because and the further north you go, the better it's going to be. So like in Phoenix, even though it's Phoenix and it's warm, but in the winter, they get a lot more birds than we do here. So sometimes I'll go up there and shoot up there, and it's great.
Do you offer any type of workshops or lessons at this point?
I have done lessons with people for basic, like if they have a Canon camera, which is what I shoot. I've had, through the years, I've had probably 3 people that I gave, actually private lessons to. But
like wear the right shoes if you're chasing geese and that type of thing.
Yeah, that goose story, I mean, you should talk to him about it, because I actually didn't tell him the truth. I didn't tell anybody.
You're talking about your husband?
Yeah,
Paul?
and my cousin's like,
I thought you were talking about the goose. Like, you should talk to the goose about his side of the story.
No, I like literally did not tell people the truth because I was so embarrassed that happened. I told Paul that I fell, and I was at Udall running because I used to run, the track a lot.
Paul, if you're listening, spoiler alert, it was a goose.
It was a goose.
Where do people find more about you? Website? Are you on Instagram, Facebook? Where can people see your work?
Facebook under Leslie Elkin Leathers, Instagram Leslie Leathers Wildlife, and I have a website leslieleathersphotography.com, but I haven't added to that.
Okay.
So much. I feel like Instagram is such a great place for me to post and share.
And if people are looking for any of the products, we do carry some work inside the gallery. We've got a handful of pieces, and we also on the website have a lot of your work. Translates really well, not just to the art, but it's also on fun things like tote bags and puzzles. So
yeah, it's great.
That's kind of cool. And you just got some new mugs in, so your stuff is getting out there.
Yeah, I want a tote bag. I think they're really cool. Yeah,
we'll have to work on that too. We probably work at a discount. I think we can get you the artist discount. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for what you're doing in our community, and thanks for bringing these wild creatures into our gallery. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate this. This is really nice. I love being here.
We love you being here, and if you're out there listening, you can check out more of these artist events on our website, the TucsonGallery.com. There's an events page, and every week we're going to have a different artist talking. Sometimes they're photographers, painters, sculptors, even possibly some musicians and others coming in. So if they're an artist and they want to meet their fans, we're going to do a Meet the Artist event. They're always 5 to 7. Right now they're on Fridays, sometimes they're on Thursdays. So check out the website. In a real casual environment, a cup of coffee, glass of wine, and we just get a chance to talk. Maybe sign some work if you've had it, or get a few tips on how to use your Canon.
Yeah.
Maybe that will happen. But all of this happens at the Tucson Gallery, 300 East Congress. We're in downtown Tucson, inside of the proper shops, and corner of 5th and Congress. Love to see you, and keep tuning in to all of these Meet the Artist podcasts as we're collecting just a really good story of local artists. It's fun to see this build out. So thanks for your time and putting up with all these silly questions that I've got.
Thanks, Tom. It's wonderful.